Tamils happen to be Sri Lankan citizens. It's an entirely different problem from the killing of civilians by the Tamil Tigers or those who are in conflict with the Tamil Tigers, or even the Sinhalese militants in 1971 and 1988. The Sinhala militants in the south brought the then Sri Lankan government to its knees, killing some 20,000 Sinhalese civilians. These are acts of terrorism, that's for sure. But the Sri Lankan government's responsibility is qualitatively and quantitatively on a different plane. This does not mean that the Tamil Tigers and others can go around killing civilians. I'm totally against that, as I will set out. But the responsibility of the Sri Lankan government is entirely different. Here's my position. As I said, I'm totally opposed to killing, whether it is justified or unjustified. I believe that there is nothing called unjustified killing. The killing of civilians can never be justified, and I emphasize that. However, if one puts on a uniform, be it a Tamil Tiger uniform or a Tamil militant uniform of some other sort, or a Sri Lankan army uniform, and take up arms to kill or injure people, then to get killed or injured is part of armed conflict. That is the madness of war. So, if the army major in Colombo gets blown up, or the Tamil Tiger major in the Tamil north and the east gets blown up, I've got no problems with that. If you don't want to get killed or injured, then you better get out of that uniform. What keeps the conflict going? Aid, including non-military aid, which enables funds to be diverted by the Sri Lankan government for the purchase of these weapons. Unrestricted sale of weapons. I point out that Sri Lanka does not have a weapons industry. It doesn't make K-4 bombers, multi-barrel rocket launchers, or any of what you have seen. These are all being sold from abroad. There's foreign commercial gains from the sale of weapons. I can give you one example that occurred a couple of months ago. A line of credit was opened by Pakistan for Sri Lanka to buy weapons from Pakistan. Here is a third world country opening a line of credit for another third world, partly bankrupt country to import weapons from them for that latter country to destroy its own people. It is outrageous. There's a failure of the international community to exert pressure on the government of Sri Lanka to come up with realistic solutions which address the problems faced by the Tamils. That is why the conflict keeps going. There's the foreign political agenda, the strategic position of Sri Lanka in general and Trincomalee in particular, which I just have no time to deal with, but will be discussed in detail in a larger DVD which is being released at the same time. What are the possible solutions? I can only go into very briefly in view of the time. No real change. This is what the Sri Lankan government wants to do. No real change, business as usual. The development and power to run the country remains in single hands in the Colombo area. Perhaps they might consider token devolution of power to the Tamil people. Scraps falling from the Sinhala master's table which the Tamils can pick up if they like. This will not work. There has to be a real change, some fundamental changes in the administration of Sri Lanka, if Sri Lanka is ever to bring this conflict under control and, more importantly, to develop that country. What about a federal setup which is backed by the international community? I think it is probably too late for a federal solution. It may have worked 30 years ago, but not now. You see, for a federal solution to work, for a federal setup to work, you must have confidence in the center. For very good reason, some of which you have seen, the North and the East has simply no confidence in Colombo. Which leaves me with the third option, which is two separate states, a Tamil state in the north and a Sinhalese state in the south. This will stop the killing, that's for sure. What is more important, it will enable these two states to develop, and it's a developmental problem. Once they develop to their maximum potential, then some 50 years down the track, you can think of a confederation. In my opinion, this is the only solution at this very late stage. What is needed is not peace as an absence of war, but peace with justice in Sri Lanka. If we have doubts about this separate state, let us ask the people. Well, the UN knows all about referenda. It's conducted enough of them. Let's ask them to have a referendum in the north and the east and ask the people there, do you want to be ruled from Colombo or from people in your area? Let's have a referendum such as was done in Eritrea and in East Timor and several other countries. If the UN refuses to have a referendum, my question is, why not? The Sri Lankan government and ethno-religious chauvinists will say that Sri Lanka is too small to be divided. This is arrant nonsense. The single state, 73,000 square miles, is larger than 63 UN nations. The Tamil state, which is the north and the east, 18,000 square miles, is larger than 38 UN nations. It's 100 times larger than Singapore, and Singapore has not done too badly. If what we have seen is what is going on in Sri Lanka, and of that there is not the slightest doubt, act we must. Act how? You can see your MP, member of parliament, or your senator, congressman, or whoever, and ask whether he is aware of what you have seen. If he is not, let us know and I will send him a DVD. If he is aware, ask him what he is doing about it. Has he raised it in parliament? Has he asked the necessary questions from the people in authority? Is he satisfied with the answer? Is the answer from the Sri Lankan government, the entire problem in Sri Lanka is Tamil terrorism? Is that the answer that he got, and is that adequate from what you have seen? You have to ask what aid is going to the Sri Lankan government, to a country that is spending millions on weapons which you have seen, to crush its own citizens. The Tamils, I remind you, are citizens of that country. Ask your media why none of what you have seen is reported. Tell your friends, church groups and others what you have seen, and ask what they intend to do about it. If they want to see this video, I'll be happy to send them a copy. The most urgent need is to get an international human rights mission into Sri Lanka now. Tomorrow may be too late for the Tamils. Secondly, to restart the peace talks, the political negotiations, not a military solution. We'll have to put pressure on the Rajapaksa regime that their pursuit of a military solution to a political problem is simply not acceptable in this day and age. There must be international sanctions attached to these. Mere condemnation, just pious condemnation saying, oh dear, what a pity, what terrible things are being done. That's not enough. The Sri Lankan government will just laugh at you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen what is going on behind the closed doors of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. I have enough faith in the international community, decent people across the world, to know that if the ordinary person, the ordinary decent person, and I'm not including politicians and others who have their own agenda, if the ordinary people know what is going on in the north and the east, what the Tamil civilians are suffering simply because they are Tamils, living where they have a right to live and being brutalized by a bunch that had the temerity to call itself their government, I think there will be some forward progression if we can pressure the Sri Lankan government to come up with some form of settlement rather than a military solution.